on this episode 115 of the podcast, I'm going to talk about GPSs, yearns, but not that sort, and wine tasting. Yes, let's get into it, everybody. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Luke Who's Talking podcast. Now, just a quick something or other, explanation, that's the word, of why there wasn't an episode out the other week is because for some reason, so the video component, right, for some reason my DaVinci wasn't wanting to work, so I could have just put an audio version of the podcast out and uploaded just like a static image or something on the video. Also, that reminds me about something too, which I have, anyway, DaVinci was being a jerk and I could have just put an audio version out, but I was like, no video, no podcast or whatever. So, yeah, I had that one off. Anyway, let me get into the first little thing. So I was talking to my friend, a friend of mine the other day. Yes, I do have at least one. And he was at his work and he was locking up, and he was then, I rode with him, I guess, on his commute back to where he lives, back to his house. And he said that he knows how to drive back to his house. Shocker. However, I think he said there's like maybe 3 different ways he could get back, depending. And what he does is he must get on Google, sets a route back to his house, and he uses whatever route Google says is going to be quickest for that particular day. And, you know, it might save a couple of minutes at the end of it all. And it's sort of like, well, here's a thought. So you get into your car, get your phone out, whatever, you go, I want to go from here to here. Google typically defaults you, I think, to the quickest way. But anyway, it gives you like three. Actually, my argument for this, I have just blown it, but I will continue. Google will set you typically the quickest route. And you're like, yeah, sure. Now, what I was hoping to happen, but Google actually does this for you. Google sets the quickest route for you. But I was trying to get into like some sort of, Google's going to give you 3 options. Actually, Google gives you the quickest way, as in like shortest distance, and then also the quickest way in time as well. And then I think it gives you like the most, and then it might give you a way that takes sort of the major roads. But let's just say Google defaults to quickest way in distance. But if route 2, I'm going around in circles. Why would you bother? You would just go the route that you know, wouldn't you? Instead of being like, hey, Google, yeah. And when I was talking to them, they said that they choose the quickest route by like time in regards to traffic and such. And I'm like, maybe you can talk about that on the podcast, because it's like, why would you bother? And I've tried to, and I just got myself in circles. But yeah, why would you? Like, if you could save if the distance between, or the saving in time between going the quickest route in distance and the quickest way in regards to time is a couple of minutes, why would you not just take the regular like route? Wow. I tell you what, we've had some bad segments on the show. I think this is right up there. Let's get into the next bit. So, as you will know, or people who watch the vlog will know, Luke, who's vlogging over on YouTube, the last 2 videos have been some videos over me just strolling around beaches on the northeast coast. Now, that was late February, I think. So we'll say about 2 months ago, 1.5, 2 months ago. And when I was out, up there camping, etc., I gained a yearn. And I think fulfilling it would be great, but I'm like unsure how I could go about it. But anyway, that yearn was wanting to get like a campervan or a motorhome, right? And travel around at least my state for starters, and then maybe progress to the big island. But I think my state, I mean, I could travel around my state as it is, but I feel having the camper / motorhome would be great because I can go to places out of range, etc., and I can, park up and stay somewhere like for the night. So like I've not, let's do it right now. But I haven't done it for a while. But I usually would have a look on, Gumtree, or there's what's it called, Caravan Sales. If people know car sales in Australia, it's like that. It's a spin-off. And I haven't looked at motorhomes for a while. So let's have a look at vehicles. Whoops, no, I want cars and vehicles, caravans and campervans, caravans and motorhomes. Search. But, some of them are, they are expensive, right? They are expensive. Let's have a look. What's on car sales? So I can get a 2003 Winnebago. It's a Ford Transit, 53 grand, right? It's 20 years old. What else have we got? Oh, no, not into that. Renault, motorhome. What's this one? Fiat. Ooh, oh, that must be just the back. But yeah, like motorhome, compact. Oh, it's a ute one. Yeah, I think a 4-wheel drive, like a Land Cruiser, like a troop carrier, I think would be great. And then, I think a troopy would be, I think, the ultimate or sort of a dream vehicle, because it's big enough you can camp, like you can sleep in the vehicle because they're long, right? You can stay in it, and also 4-wheel drive, so you can take it off-road or into more sketchy places. Say, for example, the 2003 Ford Transit Winnebago for 53k, I would be not overly confident at taking that off a sealed road, if I'm honest. But you see, you have a 4-wheel drive. I think even a flat tray, like a ute with a slide on, would be great. Anyway, 1999 Toyota Hiace van. I mean, that, you'd flog it. Oh, let's have a look at that. What's that? Nah. So, but I've like, camper van would be great. I could do some travelling around. So, it could happen at some point, but we'll see. We'll see what goes on. Let's get into the last story. So, 3 weeks ago, I think now, I went to a wine tasting. And it was an experience. I'm not a big wine person, and I'll admit, after wine 2 or 3, they pretty much all tasted the same to me. However, it was the experience of the wine tasting which was great. I enjoyed the experience of the wine tasting, not so much like the wine, if I could say that. So, a friend of mine, now we had a conversation about if Harry's her squeeze or not. I don't think so. They're beyond that. And then a friend of ours, we all went to a place, and so there was like 8 wines on the tasting. However, my friend knew the person who was serving us. So as a result, we got like a few extra wines. So I reckon we probably had 10 or 11 wines. Like we got, sort of 3 or 4 more than what we should have. So we started at 1 o'clock at the wine place. Yeah, we were there for a good few hours. We went back into town. A friend of mine, my friend, they live in town. We went back to town. We went to the bottle shop, though, on the way back into town and got a espresso martini. Yes, so we went back. So we wined, bottle shop for a martini, back to their place. Had a martini. We then, at about 6 o'clock, went to a brewery that's in town. Had beer and pizza. Okay. We then went to a gin place where I had a gin-based cocktail, and it had, I think, a slice of orange in it. And then we went to a bar which is a bit like a speakeasy. Like there's no signs or anything up saying that, oh, it's in here, right? So you go into like a nondescript. So you have to. It sounds shifty, but you have to walk to like the end of a little alley type thing, and then you go into a black door. There's no signs. Up some stairs, and then hey, you're at a good old boys bar. So there I had a Long Island iced tea and a beer, which I think it was a Blue Ribbon. I think it was. It was in a can, and it was a pint. So it was a pint of beer in a can, and I had that. So, and then got home. Also, we went back to my friend's house, and then I got back home. It's around about midnight, 11:30. So here's what's going on. So it was basically a day drinking. I had I'll say 10 to 12 wines or tastes of wine. But even if you only get a little nip of it, after you've had sort of 3, like that's probably at least 2 glasses. I'm going to say 2 glasses at least of wine. Espresso martini, 2 beers, craft beer, where they're usually a little bit more higher on the alcohol, sort of 4, 5, 6%. 2 beers, a gin-based cocktail, a Long Island iced tea, and then another beer. So I was jazzed up, folks. I was jazzed up. And there was actually a conversation when we were at the speakeasy place. We were sitting down, and I said to my collective of associates, I was like, I'm unsure if I am drunk or not. And a friend of mine was like, stand up. Now it was stand up really quick. And I think it was stand up and sit down, like as quick as you can. And when I sat back down, if everything was spinning, they were like, you're cooked. So I stood up, sit down, or whatever, and there was no spinning. But I think if I had maybe 1 or 2 more bevos, I would have been anybody's. I could have been, yeah. Oof. Anyway, there was a lassie there. She had a pink dress on. I remember that, and my friend were like, oh, look at her with a pink dress on. It was like Barbie pink. Anyway, that's just a thought. We'll wrap it up after this. Well, everybody, that is it for this episode of the podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like. Can you like podcasts? Share it. That's it. Share it with a friend. Or if you're watching it on the internet, like and sub and whatever else. Do liking videos actually do anything? I don't know. Anyway, do it and we'll find out. And I'll see you next time, folks. Bye.